Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 22nd of January. Starting with the FTSE 100, which is making progress again. We bounced above 10,000, and maybe that was the giveaway that we're going to head higher. 10,050, the low earlier in the week on the Trump fears, which, as I keep saying, Trump always chickens out, so therefore, that's what the cliche is. So therefore, the dip on Trump action fears are obviously a bit of an exaggeration there. Above 10,000 on the floor of that rising trend channel from October. Looking for a break of the February resistance line there from last year, 10,220. And a day close above that, we could be back on target for our 10,500 target for this market by the end of next month. So bit of a battle there, hopefully about to begin. RSI 50 plus rebound there, so backing the idea of further gains for this market. There is a breakdown. The floor of the channel there is at 10,000. That's the worst we're expecting at this point. Moving on to the DAX, and here we've gapped down after two gaps down. We've got one gap up, so well, it doesn't look like a very liquid market, this one, but it's a bear trap island reversal and bouncing above a rising 50-day moving average. RSI 50, well, RSI rebound there below the 50 level, but that is a positive looking thing. Looking for an end of day close back above the low of the early part of this week rather, and that would be above 24,900. If we can get that, which we're roughly at the moment, then we could be back up towards retesting January resistance. And the top of that channel there up to 25,600. Then in end of day close up with a 50-day line with the makes this or gives this market a top-end type of scenario. 50-day line there, 24,200. So if we can stay above that, any dips towards that also regard it as a opportunity. The Dow is next, and here we are looking for this market to get back on track for the 50,000 level. I suppose we're now widen that lilac channel, the pretty lilac channel there, to the lows of this week, and assume that we will stay above that line there around 48,500 level. Worst case here is that we're going to test the 50-day line there at 48,000 at the moment. We might have got away with that. Initial target here to 50,000. Best case by the end of next month, 51,800 higher, 52,000. And that would be obviously the best case scenario. Big move into record high territory. Onto the cryptos, and here it's been has been disappointing, but at least we are still above that uptrend line there on Bitcoin from October 2024. This holds the key to the fate of this market. Managed to bounce above that. The nominal level there at 86,000, and at least while we're above that, we're staying in the range between the mid 80s and the mid 90s. You can see if you look closely though that we're having a bit of a struggle there. That falling 50-day moving average at 90,200. And then below that, there's the risk of another test of 86,000. Worst case, obviously, is that we test the November support there at 18,500, which clearly upset the Bitcoin Treasury Strategy Brigade. End of day close above that 50-day line, looking for hopefully a quick move towards 95,000, which may be a trade for some to look at. Ethereum is next, and the situation here is that we've had a battle on either side of 3,000 for quite some time. Yesterday, the low was down to 2868, but we managed to recover from that. With the same sort of picture, the struggle under a falling 50-day line, that does suggest that we might have to test not only the uptrend line there from April, which is currently at 30, but also the November support 26, 22, which would not be a good look for this chart. Also, might be accompanied by the 200-day line starting to fall as well. It is still rising there at 36.67. Moving on to gold, and here the picture is of continuing to exceed expectations. We had a best case scenario target that red November 2024 resistance high projection. That was and is as high as 48.60. Above 48.60, we've got potential acceleration to the upside up to that July resistance line projection highs 53.50 or 53.70 by the end of next month. Looks like high in the sky, but this will be done. And on the downside, hoping that we won't see anything lower than recent broken resistance. 46.50. Moving on to the stocks, and you can see that it's the influence of the Greenland factor, Alba Mineral Resources here, bouncing above, yes, so right, yeah, line is normally a forward or leading indicator on the upside. Initial target here, double, well, 0.026, and looking for 0.036 by the end of next month, especially while we're above 200-day line there at 0.019. Moving on to a stock which was called to recover here after a long, long time, our exploration, and glad that it's finally doing so. A company rather hard done by in terms of the stock market reaction to it. We had gaps to the downside, and now going into November, since then we've had gaps to the upside, which is great. Initial target here was 17 pence above that, looking for as high as 24 pence. Parallel of that broad triangle from July, and looking for that by the end of next month. Let's see if that all works. But at least 17 pence hopefully quite soon, especially while we're above the 200-day line there at 14 pence, backed by support above a rising 50-day line and an uptrend line at the RSI window, bullish divergence from December as well. So lots of positive things going on there. Anglesey is next, and here see that we bounced above a rising 50-day line. I just want to see a proper end of day close above the 200-day moving average of 0.61 before up to 1 pence plus by the end of next month, while we're above the moving average. Ferrexpo is next. Previously, been looking at this on the hopes that there might be peace in Ukraine. Given up on that now, but at least the charting situation here is interesting that there is a line of resistance there from back in December 24. That line to break around 78 pence. So maybe that is the event to wait for. There could be peace. Maybe Putin might buy a few shares for Expo, but an end of day close above that line. Top of the channel here up to 86 pence or 87 pence. And we're looking for that while we're above the rising 50-day line at 68 pence. Let's see if that big line at 78 is broken. Requested stock next, which is GTM Resources, where the requester says that, or suggests that there might be something exciting happening here in the next few weeks. Who knows? And maybe few people care, but here you can see there's a rising trend channel, top of the channel there up to 10 pence, which I've been looking for months. And we're looking for that while we're above the 50-day line at 6.1 pence, so 10 pence by the middle of next month as a conservative target while we're above the 50-day average. Moving on to Goldstone, which is rapidly looking like an interesting situation, especially with the funding news I think we had. Here you can see we got through the 200-day line, which is a punchy thing to do. The initial target here was 0.75, next target up to a penny, and we're looking for that by the end of next month, while we're above the old target area of 0.75 just at the moment. Moving along to a rather bigger company, and it is Greatland Resources. Here you can see that we've got sort of rejigged the charting situation. Rising trend channel there from August, the top of the channel there, pounds 20, and we're looking for that by as soon as the end of next month. While we remain above recent support around the £6.10 level. Slightly disappointing the shares have come back from yesterday's peak, but as we've seen in the basically since August last year, the down dips are rather shallow and rather infrequent. On to Kendrick, interviewed Colin Bird, the executive chairman, today, and here you can see the little spike to the upside. Quite disappointing the shares have turned around, but rising trend channel there from back in April last year, top of 0.46 by the end of next month, at least while we're above the 50 and 200-day lines there, 0.7. Moving on to NEO, and here's suspicions that the shares were ready to bounce over a rising 50-day line have so far been correct. The 50-day line there at 0.75 above that, looking for a penny, and looking for a penny by the end of next month. Reabold is next, and here the recovery continues. We've got a V-shaped bull flag. Also looks like a mid-move consolidation. The target here, the second target, was actually the third target there, is up to the 0.7 pence area, 0.17 pence area. Looking for that by the end of this month, especially while we're above the recent broken peak of 1.1. But the message here is that the shares have finally gone up and stayed up. And looking at the historic chart, you can see that there is There's a lot to shoot for, but initially, I suppose up to the 0.25, zero point 0.3 area would be very nice over Q1 2026. Haven't looked at this company since it changed its name, although it sort of kind of hasn't changed its name, but I did actually attend a presentation by the company, which sounded interesting. Here you can see the Serval, and you can see that there's a rising trend channel built in March last year. Not much to go on at the moment, but we have gapped up, if it's the right thing to say here. Rising 50-day line and looking for the top of the range there at 0.65, maybe by the end of March, maybe by the end of the quarter. But obviously, very little to go at the moment. It's just a heads up, something might be happening after a quiet period. Tungsten West is next, and here we have a situation where we've broken through recent resistance at 12 pence. We were looking at the top of the channel there at up to 16 or 17 pence. In fact, feeling confident enough to raise that channel level as high as 20 pence by the end of next month. And an RSI, well, a couple of RSI 50 rebounds ahead of the rally, and then an RSI 50 plus rebound ahead of today's rally. So above 12 and a quarter pence, looking for that 20 pence number by the end of next month. Finishing off with hopefully what will be a decent forecast. You can see that we've got the Zephyr with the uptrend line in the RSI window, so bullish divergence, and then also bouncing above a rising 50-day moving average. Not much to go on there, but those two little factors suggest that the shares could potentially get up to 4 pence on the top of that trend channel from March last year by the end of next month. It's a punchy call, but at least we might get up to the 200-day line as a minimum on that call. That's it for me today. More